Hey ArcSops, Silhouette here. This is going to be a very quick video. It's largely just me trying to make a public service announcement regarding Mark Capsules and your God units. I've kind of touched on this before in the weekly update for last week, but I figure this really needs its own video for better visibility, and so we can properly break it down and really go through everything to better inform your decisions. As you know, we recently received the very much anticipated SG Support Scratch in the form of a mostly permanent rewind scratch. This item was highly desired because it allows players a means of obtaining Mark Capsules. Mark Augments cannot naturally be found on units, which makes the capsules highly valuable, especially when it comes to their applications on God units, one of the ultimate goals of many PSO2 players. While the individual God unit affixes might vary prior to the SG Scratch, they generally amounted to the following: Guardian Soul, Absolute Glare, Mana Reverie, Ether Factor, Crack 5, Veteran's Resolve 5, a Grand Capsule for your main attack stat, Grand Might, Grand Precision, Grand Technique, whichever you like, and your S-Grade Augment for the 13-star unit in question. Now, sometimes people replace Crack 5 and Veteran's Resolve 5 with affixes with higher values, depending on what it is you're looking for. Any Stat 6, and if you can make it happen, EV Power PP are also very good alternatives if you purely value attack power. But usually the Crack 5 and Veteran's Resolve 5 approach is valued for its comprehensive value and the PP bonus. That said, the SG Scratch changes things, as two of the Mark Capsules add new possibilities to top-tier God units. Mark Anger and Mark Courage both are often seen as best possible alternatives to either Crack 5 or Veteran's Resolve 5. Both have more power in general, with Mark Anger providing 50 to all attack stats and Mark Courage applying 40, but also providing 5 PP, making it the perfect alternative to Crack 5's plus 2 PP if you value that stat. And let's be honest, most of us do, especially those needy phantoms out there. So then you're probably wondering, silly, that all sounds great, so what's the deal with that goofy thumbnail telling us to wait? Well, there's a catch. You see, in PSO2 Classic, this combination, and some slight variations of it, will be the best possible affixes you can get on your units at in-game. But New Genesis probably won't see it that way. As I mentioned before, we touched on this in the weekly update, but basically due to how different augments will convert over to New Genesis, if you're planning to bring your God units over to New Genesis and would like them to retain their best possible value for the future, then you might want to consider holding off on the Mark Capsules. When brought over to New Genesis, Mark Augments become considerably worse than the two options up for being replaced with them: Crack 5 and Veteran's Resolve 5, with the closest counterpart being Veteran's Resolve 5. Now, for what it's worth, the difference in potency itself is relatively minor. Only 0.25% in potency and potency floor, along with plus 30 HP and plus 3 PP and some damage resistance. And obviously, if you're the hardworking PSO2 player who has several sets of God units to spare, this probably does not apply to you. But considering that these values do scale, and you might be using these units for some time in New Genesis, if you're really interested in getting the most out of them in the future, you might want to pass up on the Mark Augment this time around. After all, you're only getting about 20 to 30 points of attack power out of it. That's almost 1% increase from a 4000 base stat. It's not that big of a deal, but it all depends on how much you value PSO2 Classic over New Genesis and whether you see yourself using these units in the future. Anyways, that's everything, guys. I hope this didn't come off as too lordy. I'm not trying to tell you what to do or even what you ought to do. You know what you need best. Here's hoping this video just helps you make an informed decision. If you're interested in more guides, tips, and news for Phantasy Star Online 2 going forward, give me a like on this video, and maybe even subscribe. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. If you want to catch me live, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, and every second Saturday night at twitch.tv/sillygames. But that's everything, guys. You're all wonderful. This is Silhouette, and I'm signing off. ArcSops, may you have all the rare drops, and see you in New Genesis.